Another fish, asshole.
I'm so sick of that rumor.
Welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and let's talk about all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in episodes 7 and 8 of Peacemaker. It's a great finale, and I'm really excited to talk about it. But first, let's talk about the episode 7 Easter eggs. A lot of you were very patient with us when we didn't cover this last week. Thank you for understanding. Episode 7 is called Dragging My Heart Around, a play on the Stevie Nicks song Dragging My Heart Around. But here also it refers to the white dragon dragging around the heart of his son Chris and toying with his emotions.
And you're only right about one thing. I am a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit for listening to you for all those years.
The episode begins with Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home, which John Cena demonstrated he can play for us on the piano in episode 6. And now we know why he was playing it. It's the last song he listened to before his brother died. The first line of the song is "My heart is an open book," symbolic of the false diary the police are reading to the press. That's actually a great observation by Mastertainment over at New Rockstars. Mastertainment also caught that the GPS used to track Chris was developed by Augie, and it's even called Augieware. Very cool. On the floor we see various albums by metal bands including Kiss, Motley Crue, and Look What the Cat Dragged In by Poison. That's the same album that Chris wanted to play in the car.
We could do some pop metal. Poison?
Are those men?
There's a few movie references dropped in the episode. Leota mentions the Tim Burton sci-fi comedy Mars Attacks.
I didn't know that I was gonna get caught up in Mars Attacks,
which is underrated and worth a revisit. And these two guys talk about...
How have you not seen Boondock Saints? It's a classic.
Now, Boondock Saints is an action vigilante movie that I think is overrated, and John Wick did the same concept way better. And later, Vigilante mentions Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
And then we go in there and we kick ass like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
The episode is filled with confessions and people coming clean. Chris admits to himself that his dad never loved him.
The only one besides Keith that ever loved me for real.
Leota admits her past.
because I lost my job and my mother offered me this one.
Holy your mother is Amanda Waller?
And all of this catharsis leads into the characters embracing their new roles. As a hero, a spy, and Harcourt becomes a leader, just like she eventually led the Suicide Squad in the comics. There's also a lot of car stealing in this episode, maybe mirroring how the butterflies hijack people's bodies. There are other character parallels in the episode as well. For instance, Harcourt is a lot like Peacemaker, but she never would have killed Rick Flag. See, she stands by her people.
That the only lives that matter are the lives of the ones who fight beside us? Yes!
And Leota was being controlled by her own violent parent, just like Chris. Hopefully, he realizes this and forgives her. James Gunn has said this whole season is about Chris learning to forgive himself for killing Rick Flag. So, before he forgives Leota, he has to forgive himself.
Hey person, what is that?
What, this? You've seen this before. This is my daily dietary supplement. It's called AG1 by Athletic Greens, and they're the sponsor of this video. I've been using this for a few months now, and I feel great. AG1 helps give me the energy and immune support that I need to get through the day. See, on Easter egg days, I wake up super early, and I used to have to drink like 3 cups of coffee, but now AG1 gives me more energy and it supports my gut health. It has 75 different ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. It's also very easy to use. You have 1 scoop, put it in 8 ounces of water. I like to add in a little bit of vitamin D, which helps to support my immunity during the darker winter months. And you take it, you shake it, and it's good to go.
Say, that is easy.
You're darn right it is. So if you sign up with the link in the description, you get a free 1-year supply of this vitamin D supplement plus 5 travel packs. Just click the link in the description and get started on your first purchase of AG1. In 2022, guys, let's do more with less. More for your health, more for your life. Try AG1 by Athletic Greens. One of the racist asswipes has a license plate that reads 14 words, which is an actual thing that racists say because it quotes these particular 14 words from Mein Kampf, and these people are too stupid and lazy to memorize them. 2 of the guys are listed as Racist Thug and White Hood Wanker in the credits, which are the names that James Gunn wrote for them in the script. I thought it was weird that Peacemaker tied his helmet to a raccoon because raccoons are nocturnal and really hard to find in the day, which actually makes me think that Chris woke one up.
Raccoons are hardcore, man. But
then I realized that this is all a nod to Rocket Raccoon and how the Ravagers tracked him through the woods in Guardians Volume 2. Myrn has an incredibly heartbreaking death. And I really want to know what his last words were. James Gunn did confirm Groot's last words.
Oh no,
We're Dad. Now, I tried to DM him on Twitter, but he didn't respond because he's busy filming Guardians Volume 3. Tell me what you think Mern said down in the comments. Personally, I think he was telling Harcourt to go on and lead the team. While Vigilante is peeing like Butters, Chris runs out of the woods, an homage to this scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, during his fight with Chris, Augie mentions Abraham sacrificing his son Ishmael. Thing is, though, Abraham was willing to sacrifice Ishmael, but at the last minute, God gave him permission to show his son mercy. So, the White Dragon really took the wrong meaning from that story. When Vigilante saves Chris's life, he says,
There are gaps in the armor, man!
which you'll remember was foreshadowed here.
There are gaps in the armor.
What?
Your dad's white dragon costume, right? There are weak points where the cloth is.
If you were surprised that Chris killed his dad, well, you shouldn't have been. He already said that he was willing to kill any villain.
That man doesn't kill people.
Because he's a
He's a dark creature of the night.
he's a jackass!
Oh, and this song Eagly dances to is called In My Dream, and it's by Wigwam, the same band who sings the theme song. And finally, they go off to kill the cow who's being held at Coverdale Ranch. This is named after the lead singer of Whitesnake, David Coverdale, who James Gunn has referenced before in social media. Now let's move on to the finale. I'm going to talk about the episode and also interpret the dance that's in the opening credits to find all the hidden meanings that are tucked away in there. The song at the start of the episode is If You Really Really Love Me by Steel Panther, which is all about trying to prove your affection, which is exactly what everyone is trying to do in this episode. Leota wants to prove her loyalty, Harcourt wants to prove she's a leader, John wants to earn his friend's respect, Goff wants to prove that she wants to help the Earth, Vigilante and Eagly want Peacemaker to love them, and Chris just wants to prove he's free from his dead dad. Spoiler, he never will be. We learned that the moment Keith died, Chris made his vow of peace, which makes that episode 2 scene slap even harder when he refuses to kill a child because the gun doesn't bear the dove of peace.
Should have put a dove on the gun.
The episode is titled Cow or Never, a play on the Elvis song Now or Never, a song about wanting to stop fighting to be together, which is exactly what Goff and the Butterflies want. I thought this was brilliant.
Maybe you could call in the Justice League.
It's a great way to acknowledge the problem with extended universes. We're always saying things like,
I think our first move should be calling the Avengers.
But here James Gunn did a great job writing himself out of that corner. They name drop a certain Emerald Archer.
No, not like Green Arrow. That dude goes to brony conventions dressed in the back half of Twilight Sparkle with a 4-inch wide butthole drilled in the costume.
And I think the reason Peacemaker is always saying mean things about heroes is because he's jealous of the praise that they get. Now we've seen that he keeps a newspaper clipping that called him a hero, meaning that what he really wants is for everyone to think of him the same way they think of the classic DC heroes. So if he can't earn that level of respect, then he can bring all of them down to his level.
Superman's an alien. He's got a poop fetish.
Yes, ma'am.
They explained the helmet to Eagly, much like Rocket explained the button to Baby Groot in Gunn's Guardians Volume 2.
I need you to take that helmet and drop it on top of that barn.
Then you push this button, which will give you 5 minutes to get out of there.
So here's a question for you. He sees his dad in the woods, and it turns out that his dad was standing exactly where his helmet was. So, did his dad, tie his mind to the helmet with brain implants somewhere in Chris's skull? I mean, the ending makes me think that that isn't the case and that Chris is just losing his mind. I think that Peacemaker saw the helmet and subconsciously manifested his dad. It's going to be really fun to see James Gunn play with Chris's sanity in Season 2. Anyone else feel bad for the cow? It's a parallel to Starro the Conqueror, another alien who was held against its will so it could be exploited. Vigilante and John argue about fish and plants.
There are loads of ants. How many fish are there?
I don't know, but probably as many as there are ants.
Which, I don't know, kind of shows how ignorant people are about the environment, exactly the reason why Goff and the Butterflies are on Earth, trying to help us. This was the funniest conversation in the show.
One of the things us warriors seldom talk about is how often people shit themselves when they die. It's a touch of gray in the white cloud of kicking ass.
James Gunn crafted poetry there. Thank you, James Gunn. The scene where John admits that he has to dye his beard could have been played for laughs, but instead it hit just the right note to make it heartbreaking.
Mostly, though, he never thought anybody noticed.
John ended up being one of my favorite characters in the show. I mean, he's the only person who is upfront about how broken he is. Everyone is as sad and pathetic as him, but he's just much worse at hiding it. The scene where the butterflies chase him is an homage to both the invasion of the Body Snatchers and a typical zombie movie when they swarm over him. So, when Adebayo activated the helmet, did anyone else keep thinking of this?
Activate sonic boom.
Sonic boom!
Peacemaker goes into his battle with a shield much like Captain America's first shield that he had in World War II. Maybe because Cap used that shield in war when he had to kill. Now, this final fight is set to the theme song, which got me thinking. James Gunn said that the dance was specifically choreographed to align with the arc of the characters in the show.
It plays a different role in every episode as our story gets darker and deeper and more sad, that the dance itself kind of becomes more sad and more serious.
So let's look at the dance with the benefit of hindsight. Now, I'm not a dramaturg or an expert on modern dance, but this is my best interpretation of these events. We open on Peacemaker because this is his journey. He's lit by a few distinct spotlights showing his narrow view of the world and how isolated he is from other people. He just killed Rick Flag because he was following orders from the deep state, yet his dad trains him to hate the deep state. So he has a narrow view of seeing the world, and he has no friends or family who love him. I mean the real him. This explains the isolated spotlights. Now his movements are interesting too. He hunches over like a gorilla, like how he's always trying to appear manly in front of people. In fact, his crotch thrust here has the same effect. Then he covers his eyes and uncovers them as a way to say that he's seen the world in a new way. The lights come up and he's joined by his two closest human friends, Leota and Adrian. And they're all in sync because they're all broken in much of the same way. Now one of these gestures looks like removing a helmet. All three of these people wear disguises. Vigilante has a mask. Leota hides that she's Waller's daughter and a double agent, while Chris puts on a pretense of masculinity. So this is the three of them removing their masks, which they literally and metaphorically do throughout the season. Then Myrn and Harcourt enter dancing like marionette puppets, because Harcourt is being manipulated by Waller, and Myrn's body is literally being manipulated by a butterfly. John joins them because he is also being controlled by his bosses, but these two enter first because they're the team leaders. And notice how Harcourt immediately gravitates to the front, showing that she'll be the leader in the final episode. Then, the first time we hear the chorus, they're all in sync because they're a team, just like how they were all synced up at Glen Ty and at the end of the series. Even Leota's wife is in sync because she agrees to let her go off and do spy stuff. Then the Peacemaker levels a gun at eye level and shoots, taking us to his dad's face as the camera dollies backwards, symbolizing that he shoots his dad in the head. Peacemaker's friends appear from behind his dad. Now Chris is obsessed with earning the respect of his father, so his dad is at the front, but his friends are there too, fighting for his attention. And then John gets this little dance solo to show that he's kind of off in his own little lonely world. Then comes Goff and the other butterfly cops. Now they obscure their faces for a moment like they're wearing a mask. In the same way, they wear the faces of the humans they inhabit. Then their arms stretch outward like butterfly wings. The janitor and the old man get little solos. The janitor is on and off like the cameos he's had in the series. And the old man gets to do a little soft shoe to show how nimble he toys with Chris's emotions.
Batman has a coterie of supervillains.
And the Vigilante does a flip because he's a random guy who says and does random stuff.
Goff, is your favorite color teal?
The dance ends on this wide shot of everyone mostly in sync because they're all part of this intricate clockwork that James Gunn has created. Notice that Judo Master appears out of nowhere from a trap door on the floor, which is pretty much how he appeared all season. And notice that for the stage picture at the end, everyone slightly raises their arms when Eagly lands, a way to indicate that they've all just landed the ending of this show. Now back to the last fight. The lyrics of the theme song are very on point, with lines like "evil in disguise," "blind to what you'll soon become," and "the mirror lies, everything's wrong." Now this is obviously referring to the butterflies taking over people's bodies, but also it's about the lies that people tell themselves. John has lied about his dyed beard. Leota lies about working for Waller. Myrn was a butterfly, and Chris is constantly lying to himself that he is a man of peace. Hell, even Augie lied to himself about how his son actually died. The show is about the heroes coming clean and admitting the truths to themselves. And in an action movie, I would be John.
What the
This is where I would spend the final fight, no doubt. Leota says,
"Are you with me, baby Jesus?"
Which reminded me of this.
Dear 8 pound, 6 ounce, newborn infant Jesus.
Now that fake out part where Goff's the one who rescues Chris totally worked on me. It was also symbolic of how they're sort of the fake villains throughout the series. We think they're up to no good, but they actually had humanity's best interest at heart. This reveal was very well set up and something I was kind of expecting all season. The butterflies want to control the people of Earth kind of like an overbearing parent, much like Augie and Waller are overbearing parents to our heroes.
We made a vow to make the choices for you that you were incapable of making on your own.
But Chris doesn't decide to rebel against Goff because she's a proxy for his dad, and Leota doesn't even seem to agree with his decision. Chris shoots her because she would have hurt his friends. This indicates some character growth, but he's still very much under the control of his dead dad. So all season long, we've been pointing out the DCEU references in the show, combing it for Easter eggs, so I love that the actual Justice League shows up at the end just way too late. We have Superman, Wonder Woman, and Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa returning as Flash and Aquaman.
You bury.
It's probably not a coincidence that these are the two actors whose movies are currently in production. The show ends with an emotional catharsis set to the song Apologize by Las Vegas. Everyone comes clean, makes amends, and lives with their decisions. Leota makes Task Force X and Amanda Waller go public, which does eventually happen in the comics. John got his old job back and framed the 11th Street Kid's photo, which is very sweet. And Peacemaker and Vigilante go back to busting up stuff in the woods. He straps a grenade onto a Russian tank shell just like we saw in episode 4. And Chris has made peace with Goff, but not with the memory of his father. Brilliant end to a brilliant show. But what did you think about Peacemaker? Let me know your thoughts on the finale down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.